Yes, with Final Blaster, we are back in shoot 'em up land on the PC Engine. And it's even one of the big name shoot 'em ups, or bigger name shoot 'em ups. Final Blaster is an interesting take on the genre, since it looks simple on the surface, and then has some weird complexity under the hood, winding up offering something for everybody, but maybe not enough for anybody. You might see the title Final Blaster and go, well, it was the previous Blaster. And there actually is one, a 1989 shoot 'em up called Blast Off. If you haven't heard of it, that is not a surprise. It's a Japanese exclusive game that bombed really hard. There were no home ports of it until 2024. Now, if you're looking at this footage of Blast Off and going, hey, those graphics seem kind of familiar, there's a reason for that. Blast Off was the sequel to Bosconian, an early 80s shoot 'em up from Namco that was a huge hit. Or at least a huge hit in Japanese arcades. That makes Final Blaster, which was a unique game, not an enhanced port of Blast Off, the third official game in the Bosconian series. Yes, definitely Bosconian, not any other Namco shoot 'em up. Please ignore the indestructible flying rotating squares. Development of Final Blaster was a bit tortuous. The game started development under NH Systems, a company that spun off of Namco, which is what the N stood for, and managed to release a whole 2 games before getting shut down. The previously mentioned Blast Off, and the soon-to-be-discussed Märchen Maze. That's Märchen, the German word for fairy tale, not Martian people from Mars. With NH Systems shut down, a lot of the staff moved over to Nova, a developer with close ties to Namco, and who made a lot of console ports for them. Nova finished off the game design, but doesn't seem to have done the technical work. That was handed off to iSystem Tokyo, a programming house that worked a lot with Taito. From this roundabout development cycle, I get the impression that Final Blaster probably started out as a port of Blast Off, and then people went, well, everyone hated Blast Off, so it got turned into a completely different game. But all of that is just supposition. The plot is given to you in a short cutscene when you start the game. The Bosconian Empire has managed to penetrate UGSF space all the way to the moon. Earth has one last counter-strike they can try, a strike at planet Bosconian itself. Sending in a single ship called the Phoenix, the mission is to defeat Queen Bosconian and restore peace to the galaxy. To get to the Queen, you'll have to make your way through 7 stages of shooting, and that is something easier said than done. One of the first things you're going to notice about Final Blaster is that you can go backwards. It might be a vertically scrolling shooter, but if you approach the bottom of the screen and keep pressing down, things will start moving backward. It's limited to about half a screen length, and that available window keeps scrolling forward, but you have a lot more control over your progression in Final Blaster than you do in other shoot 'em ups. Another aspect of movement that you might not expect just looking at the screen is that you are able to adjust the speed that the Phoenix moves at. If you press select, it transforms just a little bit, and as the wings extend, it gets a bit faster. Personally, I found the default speed to be way too slow, and even the second level was a little bit on the slow side for me. After trying out a few things for a while, I wound up settling on the third level of speed. As you're shooting your way through stages, you'll encounter these ships that are carrying capsules, and hitting them will cause them to release a power-up. This is the only power-up in the game that you can collect, and it cycles between red and blue. Yep, that's all you get, just 2 choices. These choices wind up being a little bit complex, though. Red's the easy one. Those always increase your firepower 1 step. You start at 0, and it goes up to level 3. The blue capsules also go from level 0 to level 3, but each of these changes the mode for your ship's options. And this is not a linear progression. Level 3 isn't automatically better than level 1 or 2. It all depends on circumstances. The real key here is that each of those option modes from the blue capsules has their own weapon setups from the red capsules. Basically, each level of blue winds up being a different weapon, and the strength of those depends on the red that you're collecting. If you haven't collected any red capsules and only blue, then the options just go into position and act as shields. You'll have to collect some red capsules to take advantage of the abilities of the blue modes. Level 1 blue positions the option as a shield right in front of your ship, and as you power up its weapons, it becomes a spread shot. Fully powered, it also fires a shot behind you. This is a great choice for when you have a lot of enemies coming at you from the front, and when you don't want to get directly in front of a target. Level 2 for the options positions them as turrets to your side, and these will rotate to fire in the direction that you're moving. Additional red capsules increase the number of shots they fire, and at max level, they gain a homing missile. This is a great configuration to use when you're flying through tight spaces where enemies could come at you from any direction. Level 3 for the options actually has two different configurations. With no weapon power-ups, and at maximum weapon power, they spin around the ship. But if you're not at maximum weapon power, but still have some weapon upgrades, then they trail behind you. These fire a laser beam, and it can do massive damage if you concentrate it. You'll even chew through bosses in a matter of seconds. It's a great weapon for concentrated fire, but it's harder to use against a spread of enemies. Regardless of what weapon mode you're in, the options will stop bullets. But again, there's some modes that are more useful for this than others. If collecting a blue capsule advances you one level in the options, how do you go backwards? Well, you could get hit and die, but that's a non-optimal method. Instead, if you press button 1, then you'll detonate a bomb, destroying all enemies on the screen, and that drops you back one option level. If you don't mind sticking with the lasers, then a useful strategy is that when you see a capsule coming, detonate the bomb, and then collect another blue one to get right back to where you were. On later levels, I think it's most effective to power up the options as much as you can, and then fall back when you need to switch to something else. It's a lot easier to do it that way than advancing. If you do get destroyed, then you'll have a green capsule drop from your ship, and if you can collect that before it vanishes, then you get all of your power-ups back. That is something that is easier said than done in some circumstances, since if you die toward the back of the screen, then there's a real chance that the capsule will vanish before your new ship appears. Final Blaster is one of those games where it can really punish you if you wind up falling back to your base level, since most of the later stages are designed around you having some of the weapons available. There is one more weapon you have at your disposal, and that's the Phoenix Shot. To use that, you have to press and hold button 2, wait for it to charge up, and then release. It has a fairly long charge time, but it does significant damage and goes through objects. That makes the Phoenix Shot a very situational weapon. You pretty much have to use it on this boss, since the core is only exposed for a brief instant and often in locations where you're unable to shoot at it. But taking those 3 seconds to charge up a shot during the heavy action, that's a good way to wind up dead. If you complete a stage, then you go to a map screen, and here you'll get a rating based on your weapon level, your option level, and how many times you died. If you're doing well, then you're sent to a more difficult version of the next stage. The layout and boss winds up being the same, it's the enemy patterns that are more aggressive. Alright, this winds up causing a the rich get richer situation, since you earn extra lives with points, and the more difficult versions of stages give you more opportunities for points. So if you complete a stage when you're fully powered up and are doing decently, then the next level will give you more opportunities. When you continue, you're given a stage select menu, and obviously you can pick any level up to where you got a game over. Opinions on Final Blaster tend to be harsh. It's not absolutely despised, but I have seen people rate it pretty low on their list of PC Engine shoot-'em-ups. One Japanese player that I found called it the regrettable ending to the Bosconian trilogy. And this is a case where I'm a lot more positive on it. I wouldn't call it a must-play shoot-'em-up, but it does have some good complexity that allows for a variety of approaches, and the multiple versions of stages reward repeated play. It can be a bit of a mean game. There's a lot of points where you'll just be killed the first time you get there because you won't know what's happening. I'd happily play Final Blaster some more. Once you've gotten past that learning curve, I think it can be a rewarding game.